will get a job that they need. What we see is someone who was not afraid to ask for help. They put out their need to the world, admitting they needed help. So the lesson here is that most people at some time in their life realize they need help. You must ask for our help before we can show up. This is your spirit guides talking. Once you realize we are here, we will be with you forever. That's what I found out at 20 months old. My story in Guided, in my flagship book, award-winning book, Guided. I found that out when I was in a desperate situation. And my knee-jerk response to that situation, my only hope in that situation, the last resort, the only thing I could think of in that situation was to ask someone to help me. And that's when they showed up all around me. And they just looked down at me on the floor in a puddle of water, crying, panicking. And they didn't see what I felt, because what I felt was out of alignment with what is. And telepathically, they showed me what is was. And that is that this life is not all there is. I was taking this all too seriously. That was the big takeaway for me at 20 months old, remembering who I was, remembering where I came from and them. Okay? So when it's not what you expect when you ask for help. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. When you ask for help, you have to be open to the help that you're going to get. Because many times it's much greater, it's much bigger, it's much more than you ever thought that you deserved. Okay, that you could imagine that you had that help there, that it was there for you. That's what will surprise you. So Ray, who do we have with us tonight?
Well, we have a lively crowd. Let's see here. Kimberly, Kathy.
Great.
Susan Montez. Susan, welcome.
Welcome, Susan.
Joy.
Yep.
Stacy. Hi, Stacy. Stacy says howdy, howdy. Howdy from Texas. Howdy from Arizona. Linda Schwartz. Susan. Oh, there's Susan again. No, a lively group.
Okay. So
last week we had the biggest, most popular one we ever did.
Yeah. We've been doing these since 2014, since May of 2014, doing the insights, Linda's weekly guided insights. We've been doing the live events on Facebook for these insights on Tuesday nights. Gosh, what, about a couple years, 2.5 years or so, right? And the last week about the
spiritual meanings
of this coronavirus was off the charts. Okay, so people really understood that. They get that. They want to get that. They want to get it right, you know, and they know that something bigger is going on. That this is a message that's greater than just what it looks like on the surface. Okay, and that's what all of Linda's weekly guided insights are about. It's about lifting the hood of the car and looking at what's under the hood, not what it appears to look like on the outside. Okay, that's what all these insights are about. And once you understand what's really going on, okay, what the truth of what's really going on is, what is, not what you want it to be, not what if, but what is, just what is the truth, with love, with the truth. Okay, once we know what that is, you guys, you will not veer off and have to make this massive course correction to get yourself back on true north over and over and over again. It's like a broken cycle, you know. You will have mastered the core reasons for what really is going on as soon as it happens, and how it applies to you, and how to forge forward based on what you realize. It's about, you know, writing it down, how it made you feel and what you realized. Once you know what it is that you realize from writing it down and how it made you feel, the action part is a no-brainer. You guys you're not afraid anymore. You're not running on fear anymore. You've got this thing, okay? So this thing about you have help. You always have help. If we learn how to decompress, stop, listen, don't panic, stop panicking, and get your journal out and write down what it is that you are seeking help about. Write it in your journal in part 3. Write it down. And if you don't know, if in that moment that you write it down, you're going to know how that feels. Okay, I'm not saying, oh, it made me feel fine. No, that's not a feel answer. A feel answer is, how does this make me feel? What did I write? What I just wrote down, honestly, how does that really make me feel? And write that down in detail. Once you do that, one thing that follows up what you wrote down about asking for the help that you need, you got to ask.
And you can't wait.
No, you can't. You can't say, that really affected me. That really bothered me. That's hanging me up. What in the heck is that? Do it now. Go out to your car, get your journal out, and write down what the heck that is that's on your mind, that you know you need help with. You may not even know how to ask for the help, but write down what's bugging you, what's bothering you, and then you're going to know how it feels, and write that down. And the automatic response, the next thing that comes to you, without you even trying, is what you realize from doing those two things.
That's what I do. If I need help with something, I'll study it, like I study it on the internet.
Right. He does.
And I'm usually looking for some kind of diagnosis. But I don't make a judgment on it. I will write it down and keep my notes, print some things out, and then I'll go to bed.
That's what he does. I'm telling you, that's the way he operates.
And a couple things happen.
Yeah.
The next morning I get up, and the first thing I think of is something that would help with that situation.
Now, wait a second. Stop. I'm going to get him for this one.
Uh-oh.
The first thing that you think of, is that what you said?
Yeah, something pops into my mind, like when I'm waking up.
Okay, and you thought that, right?
No.
Where did that come from, Ray?
I asked for help before I went to sleep.
And when you woke up in the morning, the first thing you thought of came from
my guides.
Right, that's exactly right. See, it's real important, you guys, to realize that this didn't come from you, it came through you. And here's the next thing, that you wrote it down and remembered what you asked help for, about what it was you needed help on. Okay, otherwise, when the help comes through, when that moment when Ray woke up and it just came through, okay, after he did his research that night and just laid it on the desk and left it alone and went to sleep and woke up in the morning and bam, it came through, he would have taken that like it came from him. Okay, if he hadn't written it down, if he hadn't had it laid out all over his desk and then realized that was help, that was the help that came through as a result of all the research he had laying out all over his desk before he went to sleep that night, that even though he didn't write it in here, that was his call for help right here, the action he took. And then he said, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to sleep on it.
Right.
He says that to me all the time, Linda, I'm going to sleep on it. And I go, that's good, Ray. And then he wakes up in the morning and he knows now, after being around me for 16 years, that it didn't come from him, it came through him. But the way you said it, it's so automatic, you guys. It feels so natural to you, and that's why many times you'll say it like Ray just said it, even though he knows it came through him, is because this connection that you have with your guides when you're connected, it feels like you, because you are connected. You're not separate anymore. So it feels like you. So it gets kind of confusing sometimes, but it's coming through you. So just remember that. All right, go ahead.
Here's the other thing that happens a lot. I'll get up the next morning and nothing popped into my head. And so I'll start my day. I'll be checking my email. And while I'm checking my email, let's say that the night before I was looking for a solution to something, and you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this. There's a whole bunch of options which way you could go. And I'll be reading my email, checking my email, and an ad will pop up for one of those things.
Okay, hold on. Whoa. Don't fool yourself. I'm also gonna do this, all right? Ray was researching all those different things the night before. And you know how with AI, they have ways to track what you're looking at. And so the next morning when he woke up, all these ads started getting in his face. It's one pop up after another. It's like whack-a-mole. You can't get rid of them fast enough. Well, what really happened there, that was not guidance. Not guidance. What that was, see, don't play games with yourself. Don't fool yourself. Don't kid yourself by learning about guidance and calling everything guidance, because it's not. In that case, what happened, right? What happened? What really happened?
Well, one of the things that I read about popped up in an ad, but not all of them, not all three of them, just one.
Okay, so some of them, but be skeptical. This is where you want to be skeptical of what is and what is make believe. What is really caused by something you did, okay? And how the internet works, how it's designed to capture what you researched and try to get your business, okay? That's not guidance. That's marketing.
Yeah, marketing in action.
So
artificial intelligence.
I am a real skeptic when it comes to, was that a UFO? That you look up in the sky and Ray goes, "Look, Linda, a UFO," and I go, and I'm always the skeptic. I'm always the skeptic because it's got to be the real thing for me to go there. All right, and I don't kid myself while I'm doing this, while I'm connected, while I have this connection in my guides. I know the difference between, if it's a freaking airplane or a satellite.
Could have been a United Airlines flying object. That kind of UFO.
Exactly right. So don't go off in left field and start believing everything's guidance. Question that guidance too, okay, you guys, because you want the real thing. When you need help, you want it from the highest intelligence that's out there. All right.
Okay, Susan has a question. Susan says, what if you get no ideas?
Yeah, okay. Now, when she says no ideas, Ray, I need more than that.
You ask for help. You ask your guides for help, and you don't get any ideas.
Oh, you don't get any feedback from your guides. Yeah. Nothing comes through.
Okay.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let your guides, Ray and I, are going to let your guides talk to you about this. This is Susan, right?
Susan.
All right, Susan. So where's the disconnect for Susan? What's going on there?
Hello, Susan. We see that you expected something. When you have any type of expectations, things rarely work out in a natural flow. Expectations for anything are bad because they set limitations. You could have a situation where you fell short of an expectation and felt bad, or had a better than you expected outcome, and you technically left money on the table. So don't expect an answer right away. You must just listen, observe, watch for the odd or out of the ordinary occurrence that happens during your day and write it down.
Okay, I'm going to use something that I'm going to go a certain direction with you on this one, Susan, and all of you. When you are asking for something and you write it down in your journal, you write it down, or you just have something that you need an answer to, something that's bugging you, write it down in your journal. It's all a call for help, all of it. You're looking for clarity. I think Ray mentioned that earlier. It's not that you need so much of an answer, but you need maybe just clarity on something. So you can start thinking thinking better is, you can't make good decisions when you're confused all the time, when you're panicking, when you're upset, when you have to perform. Somebody gives you an ultimatum, they make you, have to know. There's no way you could ever have to know. You will know it when you have that moment where you're calm and you're not expecting it.
Right.
Here's what it's like, and I can remember. I hope you guys can remember this. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember worrying about things. I'd worry about things as a kid because I was in this really dysfunctional family, and I would worry about all kinds of stuff. Finally, I would just go, okay, that doesn't seem to be helping me. It's making me sick. I'm just going to let it go, and I'm gonna let it show me. I'm gonna let it come to me, and I don't know when it's gonna come to me or if it's ever gonna come to me. And it always did come to me because I totally let it go. And when it would come through, when it would happen, it would roll out like sequentially. It would just, one thing would happen, and another thing would happen. It was like taking me down the yellow brick road. And I would experience this, and I would experience that. And my curiosity would draw me into this next thing. And I found myself pulled this way, and I would follow it. And I just, like a little kid, I didn't expect anything. I was just amazed as I was moving through it. This journey I was on. We've all been little kids, so you know what I'm talking about. If you can give it up and let your little kid show you the way, your little kid is still there. It knows how to do this. It's connected. And it expects good things to happen. It's not terrified that something is going to attack them or hurt them or put them into a panic or destroy them. The little kid doesn't think like that. Let that stuff go. Because as soon as you let it go, as soon as you start breathing again, the little kid knows how to breathe. They know how to relax. They know how to go with the flow. If you guys can go back to your little kid, in part 2 of my guided journey, it's all about going back to the little kid in your life, who you were when you first came here, fresh from the other side. And start from there. I don't bring part 2 up a lot because that takes some work, okay? And I'm putting some webinars together where you guys can join me and I can work you through that process, because it takes a little bit of hand-holding, which I'm going to be doing with you all, to get you through those processes so you can bring that back. And this whole process becomes easier if you go back to who you were when you first came here, all right? Okay.
You're right. Most of the times you don't get the answer all at once.
You don't. It's a journey. This is called my guided journey
of self-discovery and personal transformation. It's a journey.
Right. And the little kid's not looking. I want you guys to remember this too. The little kid in you was never looking for a goal, an ending, a finish line, a completion.
An expectation.
Right. Okay, the little kid never did that. The little kid was on a journey of like right on the front of the book, of self-discovery and personal transformation is the byproduct of self-discovery. All right. So let the pressure off. Let the pressure off, you guys. And really, the way you're going to do it, you're going to start writing. How did I learn this? I learned this from journal writing from the time I was 7 years old. And I took it to a whole new level when I wrote this book. No way did I expect what was going to come from writing this book. All right, guided.
So a lot of this has to do with not only chronicling your questions where you ask for help, but who do you ask for help? I like the example the guides used at the beginning of the insight where the store owner needs help and puts a help wanted sign in the window. They don't know who's going to show up.
It's a crapshoot.
Right. Well, suppose people.
There's trust in that.
There's a certain amount of trust in that.
And I want to say this too. There's hope. When you ask for help, when I was 20 months old and I asked for someone to help me, I had hope for a moment. I believed it could happen. I had hope. That's what you have when you ask for help. And you ask for help without the conditions. You ask for help without the expectations. Like the guide said for Susan, it puts limitations on what's possible when you have expectations. So don't get in the way of what's possible by having those expectations.
That would kind of be a nice experiment if people, when they needed help, like in a big city, okay, everybody's walking to work and they needed help with something, they just hung a sign around their neck, help wanted, and see who walks up to you and say, maybe.
So it would look, Ray has something like this.
Yeah, help wanted.
And you have a little rope around your neck.
Right.
And it says help wanted.
Right. You don't know who would walk up to you. Somebody could walk up to you. Well, maybe I can help you.
You know who would do that? I love this.
I would.
You know who would do this? Who I just talked about. The little kid. The little kid would manufacture. They stick a hole here and a hole here, and they loop a little hook in here,
yeah.
And they'd have a little knot on each side to hold it together. And they'd walk around, and this would be their help sign. I need help. And someone would come up to that little kid and go, "What do you need help with, honey?"
Right. Determining what you need help with is very important. You have to be clear on what you need help with.
This is something a little kid would do, okay? But it makes an excellent point what Ray's talking about. You've never seen anybody walk around with this
help wanted sign.
With this help wanted sign, I need help, okay, on themselves. That would be the most amazing experiment to actually do that, okay?
Yeah, people would walk up to you and say, what do you need help? Well, maybe I can help you, maybe I can't. But you never know, like the shop owner who doesn't know who's going to answer the sign in the window.
Right.
What draws somebody to helping you out of your situation? I mean, that's.
When you put the help sign out, okay?
Right, help
when
wanted.
the help wanted sign, when the help wanted sign in this case is writing it in your journal, and that would be your help wanted sign.
That's good.
It's writing it in here, what you need help with, and then close it and put it down, and just let the help come to you. The guides always say, don't chase it. You can't chase it. It's not. If you're chasing it, you're doing the wrong thing.
It's like a relationship. You can't chase it.
You can't chase it. You might find a relationship, but it will let you down because you chased it. It's not natural. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Okay, we have some, not a lot of questions, but some good comments. Kimberly says, asking for help from her guides is great. She's always grateful for their guidance, but she sometimes gets so impatient and wants things to happen right now. So she's truly learning how to be patient, which is what we talked about.
That's huge.
Right. And Susan said,
all of you will bump into what Kimberly's talking about in the beginning, okay, until you recognize what Kimberly's talking about in yourself.
Okay. Yeah. And Marie joined us. Marie Cloutier. Hi, Marie. We haven't seen you in a while. Welcome.
Great to have you, Marie.
Marie says, I love it. Expectations create your limitations. That's right.
Yeah.
And she said, go with the flow. And she gave you 3 of these.
But remember to always write down what you're asking, what you need help with. Make sure that you write it down. Because where people go off track when they're learning to do this, when they're learning to have this conversation, this relationship, this connection to their guides, where they go off track is they forgot what they asked for. If you don't write it down in part 3 of what it is you need help with, you will forget what you asked to get help with, so that when the guidance comes through, when the help starts to come through, like Ray was saying, it doesn't just always just come through and there's all the help in one little bundle of information, one download. Many times it's a process, it's a continuation, it's a flow, it's the help and the answer comes through in waves, okay? And then when you realize what that is, the unusual and out of the ordinary, you write down right behind what you needed help with, you write down what came through, what that was that you connected with, okay? That was the answer. That was the help that was provided. It may not be all the information that they intended to give you. So don't think just because you got an answer to your prayers, so to speak, to the help that you asked for, that's all they had to tell you. It's ongoing. They know that once you start to connect with this, you wind up having a conversation, a dialogue, an ongoing dialogue with your spirit guides all the time, okay? And no, you are not crazy. This is normal. This is not abnormal. This isn't what you were taught as a little kid. You don't have invisible friends. Who are you talking to where people hound you and keep confronting you about who and what this conversation's all about? You can go back and reclaim it. You're not crazy, okay? You're not losing your mind. In fact, you're getting it back, okay?
Some little kids' invisible friends aren't that invisible.
That's right. Mine weren't.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Along with this, being clear about what you need to ask for, do you think people wait too long to ask for help?
They absolutely do.
Why do they do that?
Because there's shame associated with asking for help because of the way you were brought up. I talk about it in part 2, taking the journey back. I'm going to help you guys with this in my webinars, okay? You're going to realize where you got hung up, how that happened. The people that did it didn't mean to do it. They didn't mean it. The same thing happened to them, and they were just repeating what they did, what happened to them to you. And, it's lame, okay? It's time to break that pattern, yeah.
A lot of it goes back to when you were a child and you ask questions about
Right.
everything. Why
Absolutely.
this, why that? You ask the why questions, the good questions.
Yeah.
But you ask them over and over and over again, and a lot of what you do now, how you react when you know you need help, has to do with how you were treated as a child when you ask for help or ask a question.
And I'm going to cover that in the webinars.
Right. A lot of people wait.
You guys won't wait. You won't be doing that anymore because you will absolutely understand it. You will remember it. All I do is I don't teach you guys anything. I remind you, and then you guys realize it, and then you guys have this thing. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Ray.
People wait till the last minute to when they're in a panic.
I know.
Mayday, mayday. That's they get on the ship and they call for help.
When you guys start to see how this happened in your life, where it started from the beginning of your life, and how it all went down, and how you interpreted it, and how you twisted yourself up to fit into this world, okay? And just tolerate this. You're not here to tolerate anything. You're here to live your life, the one you intended to live before you came here. Not get hung up here and terrified to do things like ask for help when you need it, but ask the right one for help. When you ask your guides, when you do your inner work and you ask your guides, part 3, and you write down what that question is, you guys are going to learn to know what the answer is. You're going to get the answers faster and faster and faster, all right? Because you're not in the way of it. You're not in the expectation stage of it. You will have removed that from your life. And now you're going to be in the flow. It's just going to come at you rapidly. Like Kim. This stuff comes to Kim rapidly now. Go ahead, Ray.
Kim has a question.
Yep.
Can our guides help us with our emotions?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one, Kim. Okay, we're going to let the guides talk about that. Good question. Here they go.
Yes, Kim, we can help you with your emotions. We can teach you not to make emotional decisions. We can show you where your emotions can get in the way of clear thinking. Let's try to leave emotions out of the picture. Yeah, your guides don't get emotional.
Well, what happens with emotions happen when you become impatient with the speed in which things are happening. You are neglected. You have been neglected to an extreme degree when emotions start to take over. It's desperation. It's panic. It wants it now. You've been doing without for how many years of your life in a certain way that you're now beginning to realize that you're finally realizing something's missing. Something that's been missing long before now. Okay, long ago. And you get emotional. You're like, oh my God, I feel empty. I feel really like I'm missing something. I have to fill this void. It's tormenting me. Okay, that's neglect. And that neglect has been going on for years. And that's when you realize it, when you come to realize that something's missing like that, that emotion kicks in. It's like panic. And that just lets you know how much you've been neglected and how much you need to fix that, okay? And you're on your way, Kim. You're on your way. But that emotional thing is an urgency. It's a feeling of urgency. Once you realize that something's missing, that you just now are beginning to understand.
Kim doesn't realize how far she's come in the short time she's been with us.
Oh yeah, she's you're peeling away the onion. You're peeling away the onion, okay? And you're getting down to the core where some of this core stuff is. And Kim, you're going to want to be one of the people that come to my webinars that I do. I'm going to start doing these in the next 3 weeks or so. So you can start to work through this and realize how to actually perform on it, okay? Yeah.
You know what it's like peeling the onion when you get down to that core? That's the part that makes you cry.
I know.
Yeah, see? Okay, Kathy has a comment here. Kathy says, sometimes we ask for help, and when we get our answer, we use our free will to ignore that guidance. So, if we want our best life, we must follow the guidance.
Yeah, but how do you avoid doing what Kathy just talked about? Because it's the first thing you're going to do when you start to do the work. You got to write it down. Because when you see the guidance come through, and when you write down the question or what's concerning you, okay, or what you realized, or whatever it happens to be, whatever's coming through, you write it in here, and then you get the guidance and you write it in there. After it sits for a while, and the guidance comes through and responds. You'll see it on the page, and you'll go, well, that's not convenient. And you do have free will, you guys. You came here. This is your experiment. This is your life that you came here to live, okay? Explore and figure this out. This was the coolest thing you could imagine doing before you actually got here. And then once you got here, everybody else had an agenda for you, and it just kind of stopped you out. And you've been trying to break through that membrane. I call it a membrane. Ever since, it's like these bubbles behind me, being in one and trying to poke through it and break through that limitation, okay? It's going to be normal for you to take your free will from just being in this world's perspective and go, well, that's just not convenient for me right now. I've got to do all this stuff in this world, okay? When really, this is more important. This is why you came here. How much more important could anything in this world be over what you just realized? Of the guidance you just got, the answer to your question, to whatever you needed help with, whatever your question was, whatever dilemma you're in, how could anything supersede what just came through from guidance for you to now take action on. That's the life you came here to live. All this is minutia. This is just filling in the gap and just busy stuff, task stuff.
Fluff.
Yeah, you could take this stuff and go, I'll do that stuff tomorrow. This stuff right here, oh no, I'm moving on this right now because this is why I'm here, okay? You make it a priority. You don't have to tell everybody what you're doing. That's why you have your journal. This is your keepsake. This is where you report to yourself and you document what's going on with you and get those answers and write them down, how it felt, what you realized, and that action you're going to take. This is your own story, your own journey. Nobody's business but your own. If you tell people about it, you back yourself in another corner. Don't do that.
Well, then you open yourself up to their own judgment and criticism.
That's right.
You did a good job of saying, well, this is how you do it. You go to your guides first to ask and how to ask, but people will ask everybody else before they go to their guides. I mean, the guides have said many times before that you treat us like a spare tire and not your steering wheel. So why do you think they go out and they ask their friends and their family and people they work with, and then they don't get the advice that they wanted, or they get something that doesn't work? Probably because they ask people who weren't qualified to give them an answer.
Okay, so this could be, and Ray brings up a really good point here. This could be where you stopped asking.
Right.
You were asking the wrong people. You went to the wrong source for the information, okay? That's what you did. And you keep getting, lousy information. You're getting lousy advice. If you can feel it's not the right answer, and you keep wondering, well, I guess the answer's not there for me. The answer's always there for you.
Right.
For every single one of us. I know it. I've lived it.
It comes through self-realization.
You start in what Kim talked about, where she loses, she gets impatient. What happens in the beginning when you first start doing the work, once you realize you've been missing it and that this guidance, it really does exist and the help really is there, or whatever you're looking for, then you become impatient. Now you become anxious. You want it all right now because you've been missing it all this time. You now realize it. And that's what makes you so anxious. And that throws you into a whole other tangent, okay? That when you do that, and you're going to do that, write it in part 3. I just went through a tangent, just like Linda said I would. I went through it. I'm in it right now. I need help with where I'm at and why I'm having trouble being patient, why I feel so anxious, why I'm losing my patience. I seem to need all the answers right now. Write it down and just let your guidance come through to smooth it out, because it's a normal thing, you guys. You've been missing it your whole life.
And you're right. You're asking the why questions.
And you're asking the right questions. What's happening is you're finally asking the right questions, and you're not asking them. You're not going to the wrong people, the wrong sources to ask those questions, only to get laughed at, rejected, told nonsense, or how they throw things at you. It's they don't know either. So don't go looking out there for somebody to give you an answer or to give you that help. Although the help does exist. Okay, it could be a situation where you're going through a financial crisis or something's going on with you like that, and you don't know what to do, and you're just like, oh my God, I've got to figure this out. This is really, really bad. And you start writing down, this is what's bothering me. I'm having trouble meeting my bills. I lost my job. Whatever's going on. Write it all down. Close the book. Go like Ray does. Go to sleep on it. Sleep on it. Let it go. Don't overthink it. Don't try to think about what the answer is going to be and limit what the potential is, what the possibilities are with your thinking. Okay, because you've already overthought it. You don't know how to think yourself through it. Okay, let it go. And in the morning, you can sleep on it. You'll have a whole fresh start for the day. It may not come through a dream, but as soon as you're up and you're you're getting your orange juice or whatever you're doing, all of a sudden you just have this awareness that comes through. Get this back out and finish writing. Write down what they told you, what that awareness was. Write it down. And then they might even advise you, go see an attorney. Go see somebody who specializes in helping you with this situation. Go seek a job, put a job application in over here. And it's something you never would have thought of before. Let it come to you. Do not chase it. Do not chase it.
You made a good point. Watch what you say to yourself,
Right.
about what it is that you need help with. You can't have negative self-talk like, well, I'll never be able to figure this out on my own.
No, you write down what the dilemma is. You lay it down on the page, and then you close up the book and you leave it like Ray did with his papers on his desk, and go sleep on it. Leave it alone. Get out of the way.
Right. You may be correct. You may not be able to figure it out on your own. You need your guides to help you figure it out.
Absolutely.
You may be asking the wrong people.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's worse is you're paying a so-called professional for advice, and it didn't help either. So now you've lost all faith in asking
And
advice.
I'll tell you this, what'll happen when you get the answer, it will be so obvious. That's what will really surprise you. You'll look at what came through, you'll realize what came through, and you'll just go, well, that's obvious. Duh.
Your aha day.
Yeah, I mean, right down to guided. When I was done writing guided, I said to Ray, I'm done writing guided, and he goes, well, but I told him, I said, I don't have a title for the book. A lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about the title before they even write their book.
Right.
That's a big mistake.
Right.
Okay, so I didn't know what the title was ever going to be. I didn't know what that this was going to be the book until chapter 9. I'm going, oh my God, this is the book. I mean, I can't see it when I'm in it, you guys, but I follow the guidance. I follow the urge. It's an urge. It's a feeling. You know you've got to go that way. You just have to. It's like the little kid knows it has to solve the problem. It's curious. It follows its curiosity, and it goes on that yellow brick road, and it goes on this journey. My guided journey, okay? And it goes on this journey, and that's you. You go on the journey. Don't look for outcomes. Don't look for setting a goal and having to have have it the way you want it, and have to make a certain amount of money by the time you get there. Okay, leave that all alone. It's way better if you just leave it alone. That's what you're going to find out. You're going to learn. Here's the bottom line. You're going to learn from doing all this. You're going to learn who you are. This was the first thing that my guides pointed me to. They didn't teach me anything. They laid it in front of me, and I chose to walk that way. Okay, I learned who I was, and the next thing that happened is I trusted myself. I trusted, and when people would say, Linda, you're really weird. I'm me. That's who I am. I know what's right for me. I know how to trust myself. I know how to move in a certain direction. And I never told people what I was doing, but they would watch me. Okay? I've got a lot of stories about the ones that watched me. And most of them didn't put it together. Most of them didn't figure it out. There was a few that did. There was a few that the little Betty Wong story. Okay, someday I'll share that with you guys.
I figured it out. The weirdness in me honors the weirdness in you. You're right. You want to have this aha moment with the answers.
Yes.
Come through. You ask for help. You get out of the way.
That's the truth.
The reason you got help when you were 20 months old and the guides appeared all around you when you asked for help in a last-ditch attempt, you were panicking.
In my little piece of hope.
Right. You want to have that aha moment, your aha day, before you have your Mayday day. You don't want to get to the panic part
right.
before you get an answer.
Right.
Don't wait too long.
Yeah, don't wait too long. Ray's right. And the way you don't wait too long, you guys, is you keep writing in your journal about what is going on with you, that this is for nobody's eyes but your own. You can say all the things that you need to say, even if, when I was a little kid, I was probably 3, after my mom did that, and after a few other things my mom did, I would go out in the sandbox and I would cry and play and speak to my guides in the sandbox. I had this massive dialogue going on with them. in that sandbox. And I figured out so many things in doing that. This is the same thing. You're going to find yourself really laying it down on these pages, letting it out. So you can finally get through those rough edges and get to something that starts making a lot of sense to you, because your connection to your guides is no longer rough. It's now cohesive. It's now smooth. It's now constant. It's now normal. It's now, you're in a flow. It's just the way it is, okay? And writing in your journal is always, always good. But the communication is going on all day long, you guys. It's going on all the time. And you're not crazy. You're going to realize that. You're going to look back and go, for me to even think I was crazy ever, and to believe anybody who said I didn't have these friends or that I didn't know what I was doing, you're going to really realize how that hurt you, how that messed you up, and how you got it back. All right. Ray, what else do we have, honey?
No more questions.
Okay. So this thing about you have help all the time. There's times when I don't even know I need help, and boom, they show me things. Like the little kid that's just living its life and is curious about everything. I get up in the morning and I start working on what I'm doing. All of a sudden I find myself way over here, looking at this stuff. But I had no idea I'd be looking at that. But there it is, and I'm being guided to do that at that point in time. And I have all this stuff to do, but you know what? I've learned. I fit what I have to do in. I'm not flaky. I get it all done. But I take care of business. I attend to what comes in to my awareness. That's what you pay attention to. That's what's important. Okay. It's really having fun with life, you guys. This is how come life is fun. All right. It's not fun because you get a new house or you have a new car or whatever. This is fun every day. Okay. This is living your life fully. Okay. Knowing what to do and when to do it. This is how you learn to do it. Okay. So I've got a few announcements, and then we're going to have the closing message from the guides about you have help. And here I go. Next Tuesday, March 10th. Join me right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author. This will be a Q&A and commentary, just like tonight, with me and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so don't miss it. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about useless thinking. The average person has 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's 2,500 to 3,300 every hour. The problem is not with how many thoughts they have, but that 80% are negative and 95% are repetitive. These thoughts are rooted in self-doubt and fears. They are derived from events that happened in the past. It could be a failure or a setback that you experienced. Useless thinking requires your immediate attention. Otherwise, your mind will continue to take you down the same road of poor decisions and uneasiness. By the way, that's one of the worst things that can happen, is the uneasiness. You're really uncomfortable. You're not sure about yourself. You don't know who you are. You're drifting like you're in the ocean without a paddle. You're lost. Okay, that uneasiness, boy, that we're going to break through all that. Okay, so join me next Tuesday, and we're going to bring those questions. Okay, and this Thursday, March 5th at 6 p.m. March 5th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, join us on our Facebook private group, Ask the Universal Channel. The teachers of Ask the Universal Channel will be performing the following: Kathy's spirit guides will talk about the importance of having an early morning routine. Now, this has to do with that conversation that you have with your guides, okay? And the guides are going to be, her guides are going to be talking to you about that. Joy's spirit guides will discuss the difference in the patterns in channeled answers and the patterns in thoughts. Okay, so the difference between the answers you get in your channeling sessions and the patterns in your thoughts. In other words, is it interrupting that process where you're channeling the answers? Are you in the way or are you not in the way? Okay, and how do you know the difference? That's what Joy's spirit guides are going to be talking about on Thursday. And Kim's spirit guides will talk about being patient. There we go, Kim. Being patient with the guidance of our guides. Okay, so that's just about being patient with the guidance coming through or the guidance that does come through and how to take action on it in the right timing, with the right timing, with the right approach, doing it the right way, applying the guidance, how to take the action on that guidance, okay? So, and if you're impatient, when you get the guidance under those conditions, under that criteria, you're going to foul it all up. So this thing about being impatient is normal to feel it in the beginning when you first start making this connection with your guides. You feel that anxiousness because now you realize what you've been missing all this time. You want to catch up. You want to get through this early training, okay? But you have to be patient. All right. So it pushes your buttons. Okay. So we are going to close this session. So try to join us on Thursday.
Just one comment. Heather Holmberg joined us late, but don't worry about that.
That's okay,
You
Heather.
can watch the replay. It'll be up shortly.
Yeah, the replay is usually available on Facebook within about 5 minutes after we close the session. And okay, so look for that. And try to join us next week. And we start at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we look forward to having you.
And next week we'll have daylight savings, won't we? Didn't
No.
that come up?
Well, why don't you take a look at my calendar, Ray?
Let's see here.
Is it?
7 days from today will be the 10th.
That's
right?
a good point, Ray. Okay, so
March.
that's going to be, yeah, actually, Ray's right.
It's next Sunday.
This coming Sunday, right, Ray?
I think so.
Okay, we're the 3rd right now.
Mhm.
Yes, it's this coming Sunday that daylight savings time starts. So just make sure you set your clocks, and we're still going to be 6 o'clock Pacific time.
Right.
Okay, we don't change. All year long, we stay with Pacific time, even though we're in Arizona, because it gets too confusing, you know. And one last thing before we close the session. If the work that I do helps you guys, tell your friends. Tell them about my books, about these Tuesday Facebook Lives that Ray and I do with you, about Thursdays that we do every other Thursday, about, just tell them about what we're doing. Go to the website, lindadeir.com, and have them start there because it's really a good starting spot that once they see what we're doing, they can see it right there.
And lindadeir.com is now the #1 website in the world, most popular and most highly engaged website in the world for any spiritual author or coach.
I know, it's crazy.
For the last 14 months.
I know, yes, I know. Ray tracks all that. Okay, so it's always great to have you guys, and they're going to close the session with their closing message about you have help. And here they go.
We come in truth and love and have a 7-step solution to asking for help. 1. Ask us first. 2. Don't wait too long to ask. 3. Be clear about what you are asking for. And write it down. 5. Well, this is 4. 4. Don't be emotional. 5. Don't have expectations. 6. Get quiet and listen for the whispers. And 7. Take action in the direction of your soul's urge.
That was really good. I want to say this too. When you have something you need help with, you must write it down. First thing you must do is write it down, so you don't forget that you need help with that. Okay. What I do, I'm a project person. I'm busy with stuff all the time. I'm going to use Kathy. Kathy makes jewelry, beautiful jewelry. She's like a silversmith, and then she incorporates stones into her jewelry work. She's amazing. Okay, if I was Kathy, I would take and write that question down, whatever I need help with. Okay, I'd put my book down once I'm done. I would get my parts and pieces out, and I'd start making my jewelry, whatever I planned to do, making that jewelry. And when you're doing busy work like that, task stuff, when you're just not thinking about, it's like somebody who paints. Kim paints. When you do something, when you've got some kind of an artistic ability, where you just go about doing that, that's when guidance many times will sneak up on you and come through, because you're in your bliss. You're doing something that just is natural to your soul. Okay, it feels good. It's who you are. And you're just on a journey, just a personal exploration that you're on, that you're creating this stuff, okay? And that's when guidance comes through all the time. So if you guys have something, if you knit, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever, or even if you write anything that's artistic, that's when the guidance can sneak up on you. And when it does, stop everything and write that guidance down. Because it's like having a dream, or it's like being in the shower and you had this inspiration, this guidance come through. You remember it. Oh, that's awesome. And the minute you put your foot to the floor, stepping out of that shower, you forget it. Okay. So, and if you have to say it, that if you're afraid you're going to forget it, say it 3 times.
Right.
What the key words and what came through, say them 3 times out loud. 1, out loud. 2, out loud. 3, and then when you step out of the shower, when you put down what you were working on, when you can get over to your book and write down what just came through, you keep saying it out loud. You won't, and put the keywords down and then write down what it was. You will not lose it. All right.
Well, when you're driving, you always have your phone with you.
Yeah.
You just record it.
Well, if you can find the phone while you're
everybody can find their phone.
But at least say it out loud 3 times,
right.
The key words, and then you won't forget it when you stop. Write it down. Yeah. That's the important stuff, you guys. That's what's going to make your life work again, doing these things. Okay.
All right. We have a good crowd tonight.
We love being with you guys, and we will see you next Tuesday about useless thinking. We're going to put the kibosh on that one.
We're going to examine every one of those 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts that you have during the day.
Hopefully not, you guys.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good
Be kind.
night. We'll see you Thursday.
Bye.
Good night.